I'm a biathlete originally from Minnesota, live now in Vermont, where I train with the Green Racing Project out of Craftsbury Outdoor Center. Currently in Utah, training camp with U.S. biathlon team, and we're getting ready for the season as well. Yeah, it's fun to be a biathlete because you don't just, look at the bottom of a pool. You get to do a lot of different things. So that's one of the things I love about my sport. Biathlon, as if you're here, you probably know, is the sport of cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. And for that, we're not just cross-country skiing and rifle shooting. We're also out there mountain biking. We're running in the mountains, like Jake Adikoff with cross-country skiing. We're doing a lot of uphill running with poles. That's the best way to build our fitness. Out here in Utah, as we get closer and closer to the season, we do most of our training on roller skis. So there are a number of venues throughout the country. Where I live in Craftsbury, Vermont is one of them that has a roller loop with a biathlon range on the roller loop. So we actually can roller ski with the rifle on our back, come into the range and actually practice shooting just like we would in the winter on snow skis. So roller skiing makes up the vast majority of our training. I went to St. Olaf College in Minnesota, and where I was a cross-country runner, cross-country skier, and a track and field runner as well. At the time, I was really focused on academics. So being able to be a multi-sport athlete was something that, kept school interesting for me. I loved always just getting to go out with my friends and train together. And that's ultimately what has kept me going in sport, even in biathlon now, getting to train hard and work hard with other people. So ultimately, I think for me, it was just staying in the game, something that, allowed me to enjoy the journey, so to say. And I also think now, being an older athlete, I'm 29 years old, hoping to try to make my first Olympics. It's something where maybe other athletes my age are starting to get a little burnt out. I'm just getting stoked. I love biathlon. I've only been doing it for 6 years, started really late in the game after college. But to me, there is an advantage in that of, being excited. Like I said, so I haven't been doing this for so long. It's still fresh, new, and exciting. I can't even imagine not having carbs. For us, cross-country skiing, it's so important to be loaded up for those intensity sessions. So especially when we're on the road and I'm cooking for myself, pasta, it's easy. I'm also known by my teammates for maybe like putting some interesting things in my pasta. I like to experiment a little bit. So I love avocado in my pasta, which is kind of strange. I once tried putting ginger in my pasta, which didn't taste so good. But yeah, pasta for me. And then cheat meal, I'd say I'm with Dusty and ice cream. I'm kind of lactose intolerant, not diagnosed, but probably shouldn't be having so much dairy, but ice cream tastes so good. So I try to cut that out as much as I can during the season as well. So I actually have never done biathlon in Minnesota. Well, that's not exactly true. I have done a few races in Minnesota up in Mount Itasca, which is just outside of Grand Rapids. So that's kind of the main place where biathlon races happen in Minnesota. But the scene is pretty small. There used to be a pretty big biathlon scene with Minnesota Biathlon run by Piotr Bednarski and I believe Vlad Cervenka as well, out of the cities and out of Grand Rapids. But as of late, it's kind of fallen off a little bit. And biathlon really is based out of the East and the West right now in the US. So I actually didn't start biathlon until after college. I was recruited by the US Biathlon because of my skate skiing results in NCAA to head out to Lake Placid and try biathlon there. So my biathlon career has really developed outside of Minnesota. That said, my skiing was what was developed in Minnesota through the MSHSL high school Nordic ski circuit. That's what really fueled my fire, trying to do as well as I could in the state meet every year. So that's how I got into the sport. And I definitely owe a lot to Minnesota to getting me to that level where I could leave the state and go pursue biathlon elsewhere. It's something I really hope comes back to Minnesota is that, prominent biathlon culture. It's a hard thing sometimes to get past to try to install a gun range in a park, especially in the Twin Cities area. But it's something that I think could be really beneficial for people to learn how to use guns safely and in a positive way. Global warming is certainly a huge challenge for bigger problems than just biathlon and Nordic skiing, but certainly poses a challenge to our sports as well. And, just the sustainability of them. It costs a lot more to produce man-made snow or store it over the summer. For performance-wise, for me, at least, I think there are a few things. One is just, for kids, especially developing, if you can't go to a venue that stores snow those are few and far between. You're just waiting until the snow flies. If you're that kid in Minnesota and it doesn't snow until Christmas, you're not skiing for December. So you're losing that opportunity to develop and get that time on skis that maybe kids in Europe who they have a local area that's making snow down the street, they can get on snow. I think that's a performance concern for the United States. At the same time, there are venues that are starting to make snow or even store snow. The Craftsbury Outdoor Center, where I'm stationed, has started storing snow at the lowest elevation anywhere in the world over the summer, so they can get the snow rolled out by November 15th, and we can be training pretty early on snow. I also think there are like some technique differences when the snow is so soft that you kind of have to be able to adapt to, which, if anything, is just more of an interesting puzzle. And then in terms of the last point of your question, the elevation concern, I don't know too much about that personally. I think I'd defer to people who have maybe studied that a little bit more. I think one concern I would have is there also a motive for athletes to be more likely to dope if the elevation limit was pushed up? However, that said, if ultimately the only thing for the sport is to be able to push the elevation limit up so that we can continue to compete on national snow, then I think that would make sense. Yeah, it's been different, that's for sure. We weren't able to have any national team camps last year at all. We have European-based coaches because biathlon is such a small sport in the U.S. Our best coaches come from Europe, so that's who our coaches are. My coach is from Norway. He lives in Austria, so he wasn't able to come over last year at all. I was really lucky though. I basically live where I train, so I was able to train pretty much like normal at the Craftsbury Outdoor Center. I just wasn't with all my teammates. But I do have some training partners there that really were huge for me, and I ended up having a great season. So I don't think I lost too much personally on that. I think our team did, and I think we're going to see a big benefit from having training camps again this year. On the World Cup, one thing that actually was really nice was we didn't move venues every week. We stayed 2 weeks in one venue, and that was great to have a little more rest as an athlete. I know for the fans, they weren't fans, but people who enjoy having the World Cup in their home country, they didn't get that experience last year.